to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon, and today I've got another book talk video, and today we are talking about The Overnight Guest by Heather Gudenkauf. I hope I'm saying that right. And yeah, this was a really fun read. It's a quick read. It's easy to get through. I found it really engaging. It's a bit of a slow burn in parts, but I love that. That doesn't bother me at all. So I don't know how into spoilers we are going to get today, because this book is told from 3 different points of view during 3 different timelines, we'll say. And it's not until later that all 3 of the timelines come together. And I just thought it was really well done. So the first and kind of main timeline is present day. And it's a very nasty snowstorm. I love books that kind of have you stuck in a snowstorm, and no matter what happens, you can't really go anywhere or leave. I like the urgency and the kind of anxiety that comes from that sort of scenario when I'm reading about it. Not in real life, but reading about it, I like that. And so we meet our sort of main character. Her name is Wiley, and she is a true crime writer. And that's the reason she's at this house that she's at right now. It's in a very small town, and the house is isolated outside of the small town, so like she's very, very isolated. And she's in town staying at a house where years ago a crime took place. And she's writing about it. She at first thought she was only going to be coming for a couple of days, but now it's been weeks, and she's still not really ready to return to her life. Her life being an ex-husband and a teenage son. And so the teenage son is staying with her ex-husband at this point, and her and the son just really don't get along. They butt heads all the time. So at first she was kind of happy to get a little break from him. So that's the main timeline. And when we meet her, she's coming home at the end of the day, and a snowstorm is coming. She goes into the house. So that's where we're at with her. The second timeline is 22 years ago. It's summer 2000, and it's a very, very hot summer. So I kind of liked how they're the 2 very drastic weather scenarios are different. I liked that, how we had a bad snowstorm. Oh, Trixie knocked me over. Okay, sorry. So we have a bad snowstorm and then just a very hot summer. And in that hot summer, we see the house where the crime took place, and we see what the crime was. And we're told that story from the point of view of a little girl named Josie. I think she's 13. And she's having a sleepover with her best friend, and it's her parents and her brother and her and her best friend that the story kind of centers around. And there is a big, big tragedy that happens at this house, and that in the future, Wiley is writing about this tragedy that happened this summer. Then the third storyline is, we don't really know the time frame, but it's told from the point of view of a different little girl. We don't know how she ties into the story at all. My dog keeps threatening to murder me with my tripod tipping over. We don't know how the third storyline comes into everything at first. And it's a little girl, and she is being held captive in a basement with her mother. At first we don't realize they're being held captive, but pretty soon we do learn. And her mom at one point is pregnant and then has a miscarriage, and her mom are trying to think of ways to escape their situation. So that's kind of the main gist of the story. We cycle through the points of view, piecing together the story. I was able to piece together a good portion of it before we got to the reveal, which is fine. I don't mind that. I do love being surprised, but this book was well written, and the stories wove together so well that I didn't mind that I was able to put together who everyone was fairly quickly. And I thought it was really well done. And if you like, oh my goodness, if you like a bit of a thriller, especially if you like isolated winter storm, stuck in the house tropes, you'll really like that. So what happens in the present day one, this isn't spoilers, this is just kind of what kicks off, what the inciting incident is for the story is, at one point, Wiley goes outside and she finds a child laying in the snow, like passed out. And she doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know what to do with this child. They're alive, and she manages to get the child into the house, and then she tries to piece together who this child is, what they're doing here. Like, there's no other houses around for miles, so like, how are they out here? And yeah, I thought it was great. Like I said, it was easy to get through. I found it well paced, though it is a bit of a slow burn. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. So now I guess for anyone who isn't going to read the book, but from what I've said is interested in seeing how these three storylines converge, let me tell you. So now are the spoilers. So if you do not want the spoilers, definitely click away. Thank you for watching. So now that they're gone, let's get into it. So we've got the present day storyline with Wiley. She's a true crime writer. She's writing a book about the murders that took place in this house. The storyline from the 2000s, so like I said, that's told from the point of view of a little girl named Josie. Her and her best friend Becky are having a sleepover. That night, her and Becky sneak out of the house just to sort of play around in the garden, you know, nothing too serious. While they're out of the house, somebody breaks in and murders her parents. That person comes outside, sees them, and they start running towards a cornfield. Josie's a little conflicted at first because, of course, her mother told her never go into the cornfield, you could get lost. But they make a run for it anyway because they figure that's better than getting shot. As they're running, one of the little girls falls down, Becky. And Josie's trying to get her up, but she can't get her up. And the man is getting closer, and he's got his gun raised. So Josie starts running for the cornfield. She gets shot in the arm. She's hiding in the cornfield for hours because she, of course, is too afraid to come out. And she doesn't know where Becky is, or her brother, for that matter. She has the brief, terrible thought that maybe it was her brother that did this. And that's something that the police kind of wonder about for a while until a few days later, eventually he is found also murdered in their barn. Which I was glad that it wasn't him. That would have been too sad if it was him. So anyway, they can't find Becky. She's missing. And Josie's grandparents come and collect her and take her to their home. And eventually they move away from the area so they can kind of start fresh. Start so fresh, in fact, that maybe Josie changes her name to Wiley. So she is the true crime writer in the present day who has come back to her family home to write the story of what happened, thinking that maybe if she can write the story, purge it out of her, it'll help her heal. The third storyline of the little girl who's trapped in the basement with her mother, well, that's the child that Wiley finds outside in the snow. And so Wiley first thinks it's a little boy because the girl's hair is cut so short, it just looks like a little boy. But eventually Wiley goes out looking for a vehicle that was in an accident, something that would explain the presence of this child out in the middle of nowhere. And she finds a truck, and she finds outside of that truck a woman who's kind of tangled up in a barbed wire fence, very injured. So eventually they all get back to the house, and we find out that the woman, the mother of the little girl, is Becky. Becky had been kidnapped by the person who committed the crimes and was being held hostage all these years, 22 years, and the child was his. This little girl was his. And so then we kind of reached the climax where the man who had kidnapped her and who they were fleeing from comes to the door looking for, you know, his child, and woman he's held hostage for 22 years. And that's where it kind of heats up, where they're trying to hide from him, trying to evade him, and eventually trying to put an end to him. So there you go. Those are the spoilers. Telling you who it is wouldn't really mean anything to you because, of course, we need to get into all of it. But he's a local man who knew Josie/Wiley's family, and there had just been feuds between them. And he had said, he confesses at one point that it had been Josie he was coming and hoping to take, but she got away, so he took Becky instead. So there you go, you guys. That's the Overnight Guest. I thought it was great. I kind of thought that I didn't, you know, I thought it was going to be good, but it really exceeded my expectations, and I enjoyed it a ton. So if you get a chance to pick it up, I would recommend that. And if you've already read it, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of it. Anyway, that's going to do it for me for today. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye.